everybody. I assume you're all here to find out about running shelter dogs, and you're not just looking for a place to sit and drink your beer. Which, are we the only people?
The only ones drinking? Okay, that's fine.
Well, this will go well. Okay. This is Lindsay Marsh.
Hello. Everyone can hear us, yes? Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm yelling.
Echoey. It's awesome.
We're good? Okay.
And I'm Rob Hill. We're the co-executive directors of Rufftail Runners, a group that started here in Austin back in, well, sort of unofficially back in 2010, out of a running group that I coach. We were doing a lot of work with Austin Pets Alive, and their head behaviorist asked if we could run with some of their higher energy dogs. And there were just a handful of us doing it at the time, but we saw such benefits out of it, and APA got so excited about it that started opening it up to the public. And then in 2012, really December 2011, when they moved down to a location down by Town Lake, or Lady Bird Lake, it just went nuts because that's where our hike and bike trail is. So it took on a life of its own and became its own entity. We were briefly Jog a Dog, but a maker of dog treadmills wasn't happy about that. So we became Rufftail Runners. And I think apparently
that was a video.
I was like, why is there just this picture?
So we'll show a quick video that a Eagle Scout put together for us as part of his Eagle Scout project. So let's take a look.
Are you saying Evil Scout or Eagle Scout?
Eagle
Scout. Okay.
Scout.
All right.
Eagle Scout. They're fine young men. So of course the volume.
Oh, that's right.
This is our program in a nutshell.
We forgot about the video.
Super cute. Just heads up, all the dogs that we have featured in our presentation today have all been adopted. So they're at home right now, out of the rain. So,
yeah, sure.
Yeah?
So I remember last year's slide, she had put it together, she'd done all the work, and it said, what the heck is a Rufftail Runner? And it seems remedial, but actually just last week, for some reason, I think maybe from being tied in with the marathon, we got 2 emails going, what's a Rufftail Runner?
How can I be a Rufftail Runner?
Exactly. So essentially, they're volunteers that we train to take dogs for runs and walks outside of participating shelters. And we use it to refer to the dogs too, so it's interchangeable. And they're all about the same anyway, you know, people, dogs. We've got a real strong community going. We just hit 2,000 likes on Facebook, just for our Austin group here. And we're well over 3,600 people on Meetup, which we'll talk about in a bit. That's one of our main organizing tools. We're growing. We've got 5 shelters in the Austin area. Is anyone here from the Austin area or from elsewhere? Cool.
All right, Pflugerville, Pets Alive. I see your shirt.
And oh yeah. Cool.
Williamson
Nice.
County? Oh, okay, awesome.
Ah, yes, and we'll...
oh, great.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Team Spirit On works with y'all on the 5K in April.
Wolf Walk Run.
The Wolf Walk Run.
And I'm from near San Antonio, so I look forward to helping you expand your program down there.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
San Antonio Pets Alive is ready and raring to go. They've hooked up with Fleet Feet.
We're the next county over, but we're between there and here, so you can
Awesome.
run with us.
Okay, yeah, we don't personally do all the running. Okay?
Yeah.
In fact, I almost do none
As
of
you
it.
can tell.
That's why I'm a coach, okay? But yeah, we've had interest from Melbourne, Australia. She dealt with them.
And I didn't mention dingoes once. For those of you old enough to know what I'm talking about, that's a pretty big accomplishment, especially for me. So.
We've talked to New York City SPCA has been just ready to go. Buffalo is really excited about it, but for some reason they're not keen on running just at the moment. I haven't figured that out.
They should move.
Yeah, exactly. Or not, but not here. It's been an incredibly safe program, which has been an attraction to a lot of shelters that would kind of naturally think otherwise. We average over 300 runs a month out of Austin Pets Alive. That's counting the summer months where we have like 30 minutes a day before it hits 105. And there have been no major incidents. And Rufftail has also become an entry point for a lot of volunteers and adopters to get involved. I mean, some of them end up in bottle babies. You never know. It's kind of their entry point, though.
Yeah, they come in wanting to run with dogs, and then they end up doing stuff with cats, which is,
Yeah, it happens.
I mean, we can't really judge. So why are we doing this? Mainly because Rob and I like to run. That's really the only thing that's pushing us. And we like dogs, just slightly more than we like cats. But honestly, this is a really, really good program for our community, and we're hoping that it's a really good program for your community as well. So we have up here getting dogs out of their kennels and out of the shelter environment makes them, and you guys could fill in a lot more than what we have here. But honestly, they're better adjusted. If you've seen a dog, and we've seen dogs in our city shelter, and I'm not telling or spilling any secrets here, but there are some big dogs at our city-run shelter who can go 48 hours sometimes without getting out of their kennel. That is not no-kill, and it's not a well-adjusted dog. So getting them out of their kennels, we put them onto the trail. They see other runners, they see cyclists, and I love cyclists. I have a lot of friends who cycle, but they're not always the most polite people out on the trail. They should be saying on your left, and they don't. They just whiz by, so that's a good learning experience for our dogs. And then the other thing is moms with strollers, and sometimes the dads with strollers. So, and I can't really harp on them too much because I'm one of those. But so we put them into these heavy traffic areas, and they get a lot of real-world experience that they're really not going to get at the shelter. They're healthier, right? We have some dogs who come into us, and we're like, what happened? And so we have to get some of that weight off of them because of their joints. So this helps them. And as we have up here, who doesn't need exercise? We all need exercise. It's good for the brain. Also trainable. As you might have heard from Mike Caviani, which I hope some of you have been to some of his presentations, we're second trainers for these dogs. And they're tired, and we love tired dogs. And I think you all probably love tired dogs too. One, because they will rest, and two, because they're easy to train. And that leads into the next one, which is more adoptable. See above, well-behaved and trained dogs are easier to adopt. Nobody wants the dog who is doing the NFL Combine in their kennel. You know, they want a dog who's like, "Hi, take me home. I'm going to be the perfect dog for you." So yeah, you know, they're tired. They're easier to train. They get out of the shelter. They go to their forever home. And when a dog gets adopted, their kennel is open, so staff members and volunteers at APA can go to the city shelter and pull a dog off the euthanasia list. I mean, that's how our cycle works. It's a great cycle. We don't want to break this cycle. Some cycles you want to break, but not this one. So that's why we're doing what we're doing.
And in fact, a lot of our Rufftail runners will go through training, and some of them on the first day have ended up just adopting a dog, which makes them kind of worthless to us, you know, but that's okay because they're taking one home.
And we tell the people that we train every single session, we say, listen, somebody in here is going to foster a dog, someone in here is going to adopt, and they're like, ha, ha, ha. And we're like, no, seriously, it's going to happen, and it happens. It happens all the time. You start running with a certain dog, you fall in love, and you're like, I'm taking this dog home. So it's great. It works out for everyone. It's a win-win situation. Here are our tired dogs. Now, it should say that they're all adopted. So every single one of these dogs, they've been adopted. Adidas here, this was during a training. I don't know why she was so tired at the training, but Andre Agassi, who is the reason our logo involves a pitty, he is just basically our poster dog, our poster pitty. Mm-hmm. Levi, that was after his turkey trot 5 mile with one of our Rufftail runners. And then this is Chloe after her 5K with one of our Rufftail runners. So listen, we love tired dogs. That's great. Do they have to go out and run 5 miles to get tired? No. Some of these dogs, you can take them for a mile walk, and they're like, all right, I'm done. So it's great. This is what we want. Also, look how cute they are. Andre Agassi, we can tell you a story about Andre later on, but he's basically my boyfriend. He's great. He's the best dog ever. All right, so, and this is Nutmeg, and this is the scene in every single training. We always take a dog with us, and this is what happens. The dog's like, oh, love me, I never get pets, and it's great, it's wonderful. So, all right. Also, I'm just gonna out Rob and say that he's a lawyer, so keep that in mind.
Okay, yes, it's true. So, which can occasionally be helpful because, especially when you deal with government-run shelters,
It's very helpful.
I can understand the sentiment, and I can understand where they think they're coming from, and that takes us to the first line there. One of the biggest things trying to get a shelter involved is you need to have one that is willing to take a minimal risk that you can actually take steps to minimize in return for big benefits. Here in Austin, we are so stoked that we're going to finally be able to run with the city shelter dogs. And it's been years in coming. The outgoing executive director of the Austin Animal Center was a huge fan of the program. She wanted to do it, but it would hit my fellow attorneys in city government, and nope, not going to happen. But they kept seeing the benefits that we were getting at APA and other shelters, and I think they kind of got shamed into it a little bit as well, because everyone else is doing it, but your home city is not. Let's see here. Obviously, we're preaching to the choir here. Nonprofit shelters, and especially those committed to no-kill, they get it because they are already thinking outside of the box, and that's why they're having success. And like I said, city-managed shelters can be the tougher sell. The woman from Melbourne, that's what she was having to face, was her city council.
The exact same problems that we were running into with the city-run shelter
Lawyers
here.
everywhere. Yeah, I hear that Australia doesn't have a rabies problem, but yet they still have a lawyer problem. I don't know. So.
Okay.
Who's got the clear? Okay, you go. I got the clear.
Yes.
Yeah, we got lucky.
We got very lucky. We get it. We totally understand. The shelter, the main shelter that we are run out of, Austin Pets Alive, is right across the street from a 10-mile trail. We understand how lucky we are. But here's the deal. Just because your shelter isn't located across the street from a trail doesn't mean that this can't happen, because it can. If it can happen in Tucson, Arizona, of all places, it can happen at your shelter, okay? You just need a place to run. And you don't necessarily need a trail. If you've got roads, you can run on them. Obviously, your runners are going to have to take a little precautions and make sure that they are wearing clothes. I would not run in black, say, which Rob always says, don't go ninja style when you run.
At night, yeah.
Yeah, at night, it's probably not a good idea. But yeah, so you want to target your shelter close to trails, good sidewalks. Sidewalks really important. In Austin, like the neighborhood I live in, we don't even have sidewalks, but you just, need to make sure that your runners know, or walkers know, the rules of the road, basically.
And you can help them by mapping out some routes for them, because you'll know the streets around the shelter.
Yeah.
Figure out the safe areas for them to run. And there will occasionally be, like Galveston had a lot of interest, but they are on a highway. And so like, so what do we do? I was like, so there's nowhere around there you can run? And there wasn't. So they asked me what to do, but obviously there's nothing for it, but they're going to have to do some transportation to get the dogs somewhere they can actually run them. So that's going to happen occasionally, but
ideally, we wouldn't advise doing the transport, because that's going to cause some more, waivers on your shelter's behalf. A lot of our Rufftail Runners are already volunteers at APA shelters, so they already have some of that clearance. But even then, we really don't want them transporting the dog unless they're going to go do, some sort of sleepover or happy hour, which happens all the time. All these dogs are always going to happy hours. It's crazy. And ideally, you want your shelter to be accessible to the community at large, because that's how you get people in. We're really lucky right now that Austin Pets Alive is pretty much dead center in the heart of the city, so it attracts everybody. And I'm even able to get up there sometimes during the warmer months on my lunch break to go and run with dogs, which is a lot of fun. What does all of this do? It's high visibility for the dogs, because obviously you want all of your dogs to be wearing some sort of Adopt-Me vest, or making sure that everyone else is aware that this dog is ready to go to a home. And you do that when you're in high visibility areas. So that's the main goal. But if you're not in a high visibility area, it's still a really good idea to get these dogs out of the kennel and just kind of get them into a spa environment, if you will. You know, those people, I have friends who are like, I'm going on a retreat and I'm not going to speak for 48 hours. I'm like, that's awful. Why would you do something like that? But seriously, get them out of the shelter and have them go on a little mini retreat, even if it's just for 30 minutes. So.
Engaging the community, you can get a shelter to buy in, you can have all the nice roads and everything around you, but obviously you've got to get the word out. Obviously this program here in Austin started with a group of runners. And since I coach and since I deal with running stores and the Austin Marathon and other races, it became easy to get the word out to the running community. We've even got a running store here in Austin that has a huge training group, and they will put, is it once a month, I think? They're putting a dog in their newsletter.
Oh yeah, one of our dogs actually, and one of our Rufftail Runners has volunteered to do that. No, it's once a week.
Oh, once a week.
Once a week, we have one of our dogs featured in their weekly e-newsletter that goes out to all their runners.
So most runners, I think probably because they have to be outdoors, unless, I don't know about you folks up north, I guess you all run on treadmills. I don't know what happens up there. But,
no man's land.
No man's land. You know, they tend to be outdoorsy to some extent, and so most of them tend to like dogs. And when they find that they can take a dog and go running, they get really excited about it. So in addition to having a ready-made set of volunteers that can take your dogs running, you got some great potential adopters there as well. We use Meetup, which back when Lindsay first suggested it back in 2012, I didn't even know that still existed. And it's amazing. It's like, you know, I think every conceivable group out there, you know, Croatian people with mothers that had cleft palates that are left-handed, you know, they have a meetup group and they get together once a month.
Don't make fun of us.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. But you know, and people can get on Meetup and they can, you know, they put in their interests, animals running, bing, all of a sudden we show up. And it's ridiculous how much attention just that alone garnered. It also gives us the capability to post an event like a training session. It'll link to PayPal so they can pay their registration fee. We wish it had more actual registration functions, because we have to send them to our website to go through a short registration and waiver. But it's been a tremendous tool for us. And like I said, we have over 3,600 people on there now, which also means that when something comes up, like the recent crisis at Austin Animal Center, where we found that dogs weren't getting out every day, in addition to our Facebook page, we can mass email everybody that's all those 3,600 people, presumably all the ones that got on there in the first place to go through our training, and we can message them all at once, and we got a huge response. In the few weeks since we started getting people out to Austin Animal Center, my understanding is that all the dogs are getting out at least once a day. And the staff is excited because then they can go deal with the dogs that not everyone can deal with. So you've got a huge ready-made crowd that can do other things for your shelter as well. Involve local media. The news stations love this because, you know, pictures of dogs.
Everybody loves dogs.
It's true.
And it also would give you and your community an opportunity to get a story out there that doesn't involve some little girl getting her face bitten off, which always seems to be the most attractive news story about dogs, and especially about pitties, because we all know those are the dogs that we're dealing with. So.
Yeah, very good point. And very often, yeah, it will also kind of bleed into different stories. They end up coming back to us to do little bits on you know, how to handle your dog properly when it gets hot, and all sorts of little things. So it's become a whole other outlet for a whole other inroad for media locally. Contact those involved with the setup of local races. the Austin Turkey Trot, which I don't know what the registrations are now, but they're probably 9,000 or 10,000 people.
Oh, it's insane.
Every Thanksgiving. In
It's
fact,
insane.
it's too crowded.
People in like their turkey outfits and stuff. I mean, it's crazy.
They'll give us 5 or 6 free entries, and we'll get people that we'll get Rufftail Runners to, if they will take a dog home Wednesday night, keep it over Thanksgiving, just to give it a little time out of the shelter, and take it to the race and run it, then they get a free entry. So we do that with them and some other races.
And those free entries, every race is going to come with a free T-shirt or long sleeve, which is great. So, all they're doing is taking a dog home for the holidays, and they get a free race entry and T-shirt and all the other swag that comes along with doing a race.
And races are getting more expensive all the time. So, and definitely reach out to us. We have contacts with running communities all over the place, from Hawaii to New York City. So we can help hook you up with the local running groups, local training groups.
And even if we don't know somebody in your community, more than likely Rob's going to know somebody to ask. Yeah. And that person is going to know. So we're here for you. We really want to see this happen. And again, we say running, we're runners. It's called Rufftail Running, but we have a ton of dogs who just need walks, because we have a lot of older dogs and they have arthritis, or something's wrong with their paw, their ACL. All they need is a walk. They just need to walk away from the shelter. Okay.
We talked a little, I already rambled on a little bit about Meetup there. Again, gives you a real wide marketing reach, post everything. We do charge we started charging a $20 training fee, largely because we were getting, when we first started doing the training on a big scale in January of 2012, we had groups of up to 80 or 90.
It was insane.
It was nuts. Nothing was automated. We were like making copies of people's driver's license onto the application and doing all of that. We've cut it down to twice a month, 33 people per class, and we did the training fee so that you wouldn't get, it's great that groups and companies and sororities want to come volunteer, but they come, they're taking up a spot in a training group, they're taking up some resources, and for the most part, they're not going to come back. It's a one-day deal. So we have found that it helps us get a slightly higher level of commitment, and then we realized, wow, we can buy equipment. APA has a wonderful program where if a dog gets its heartworm treatment sponsored, they waive the adoption fee for the adopter, because as you know, they're taking on some work with that dog. So it allows us to do a whole lot. Advertise it, again, through local media, running events are often happy to have you. We get contacted all the time from like health fairs and things like that. In fact, we're rarely even able to go hit those because of our jobs and stuff like that. But it is easy to get people excited.
Speaking of which, if you know anybody who wants to sponsor this, like full on, so this can be our full-time job, let us know.
I've heard of something called grants. We're looking into that. I found a president, and that's about it.
Because this really is a full-time job. I mean, there are times where the two of us just, we have to ask for extra help. And so that going in, you can't do this alone. You're going to have to ask for help. Don't take it all on. And there are times where we attempt to, and then it's just like, well, I can't just do anything now. And so you have to get help with this. It's a big project. But you're going to find volunteers who are committed to this and will take it on. It's a lot of fun.
They definitely emerge, and all the expertise has always just emerged for us. I mean, she just appeared and is able to organize things better than clearly listening to me I can. People with tech abilities and graphic designers and
pull them in.
MBAs.
They want to do this.
Absolutely.
Your volunteers want to do this.
Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, this is Joker. Joker, again, is adopted, and he had some of the worst gas I have ever experienced in my entire life. But so the main thing is Rob was talking about earlier is having a shelter take on this minimal risk, and it is minimal. We've never had an accident in all the years that we've been doing this, and it's really because we have great controls, and that's not only due to, Rob putting the hammer down on stuff, but also it's because APA has really good standards. So the procedures, the standards, the rules, you really have to follow those and make sure your volunteers are following them. So whatever your shelter rules are, those are your program rules as well, okay? So it keeps your volunteers safe, it keeps your dogs safe, and it keeps your shelter insurance safe, and that's really the key there. So you need to balance the risk and reward. The program needs to be accessible, but responsible. So some of the problems that the city shelter has faced is, and let me know, I'm really curious to know what everyone else's volunteer requirements are, but the city shelter makes you go through a criminal background check. And then if you've lived in Texas for less than 10...
If you've lived outside of Texas for any time in the last 10 years.
You have to do fingerprints. That's just to go volunteer, okay?
6-hour volunteer orientation.
Yeah, so that's just to go volunteer. So you really have to balance the risk and reward here. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you're trying to pull in your volunteers, because as we've experienced with the city shelter, it's really hard for them to get volunteers because it's a process and you have to fill something out on paper and you either have to snail mail it in or return it yourself in person.
Because they don't accept electronic signatures.
Yeah.
They're only about 20 years behind most courts and other attorneys.
So keep that in mind as well. And we're not trying to dog on anybody's shelter if that's you, but that could be a very big roadblock to getting quality volunteers into your shelter. So categorized by behavior, you need to vet dogs for the program. We have an excellent volunteer who does this for us. We're not really sure how she gets all of this done because she has a full-time job, but she's always at the shelter. It's really bizarre. So her name's Heather, and so every time a new dog comes in, she will take that dog out to the trail and test them, and you should see the emails that she sends. It's great. There's a picture of the dog, and then a picture of how they did with other dogs on the trail, how they did with bicycles, whether or not they encountered any children or strollers. It's wonderful, and then she says, I would give this dog a thumbs up for the trail. So you need to vet dogs for your program, and hopefully your shelter is already in some sort of, you've already put your dogs into categories of, this one any volunteer could take out, or this one you need some extra training to take out. So set times, our times, any time from 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., that's when our dogs can go out. However, since we are in Central Texas, we have weather conditions. So those weather conditions, quite frankly, I'm surprised that they haven't really kicked in yet. Everyone here is from Texas? No. You guys, where are y'all from? New York? Okay. Kansas City. All right. Go Chiefs. All right.
We're sorry it's so horribly cold today.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's going to be 30s tomorrow, and it might rain. I'm not kidding. The city's going to shut down. I don't like it. Very smart. We have had people ask us.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, we finally got and just to give you an idea, the top range is 95 and over, dogs don't leave the campus at all. 90 to 94, there's a spot less than half a mile that you can walk to get them to the water and let them get in the water.
And some of that $20 fee that we charge this summer, we're finally going to get the longer leads that we can hook on and let them go swimming. Because right now it's just like holding the leash and then they swim in a half circle and then they get out and then they go swim in another half circle. So, we can't and they're like, this is not fun for me. So yes, you obviously have to be mindful of your temperatures. We don't really have to worry about the cold too much. Our main concerns are really heat and lightning. And we have had people ask us, can I run in a thunderstorm? Why? Why would you want to do that?
And we say, yes, you can, but you can't take one of our dogs with you because the leash may be conductive just enough. And
what are you doing? Quite frankly, I say to people, why are you running when it's 70 degrees? It's too hot. So, and then you need to have some sort of SOP for all of your runners and your walkers. I mean, there just has to be hard lines that you're not gonna waiver on at all. So, and you need to figure that out within your shelter and with your veterinarians or your vet techs. And then give good training. That's really key, is you have to have a good training. Listen, half the reason we narrowed our trainings down is because how can you train like 80, 90 people all at once on how to put on a gentle leader or an easy walk harness? It's really, really difficult. So you have to have a good training. You have to have a dog in there with you to show them how to put equipment on. And the big thing too is that we make all of our volunteers go through a kennel routine. So we show them how to properly get a dog out, and then we make them do it in front of everybody else, and we say, okay, I would put your hand here, I would put your hand there. So it's really important to have a good training. And I would probably not encourage drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is when we do ours, but I would, or maybe, I don't know, it might be a little more fun. Don't have anybody who's like really boring doing it, you know, you gotta have somebody who's super engaged and super fun. There's an older volunteer who comes in to help us, her name's Terry. She's fantastic and everybody loves her because she is just a sassy Southern woman and everyone loves her. And when Joan Rivers died, I have to tell this story, this is so funny. When Joan Rivers died, I put a picture of her on my Facebook, and Facebook said, do you want to tag Terry? And I was like, no, that's not Terry. So anyway, you know, find a Terry for you, please. Find a Terry. Do you want to talk about how we do this?
Yeah, our training, basically we try to keep it to 2 hours. Lindsay tries to keep me from talking too much. Has minimal success. Hour in the classroom, and it's just some of the things we particularly stress. The importance of awareness. I was very happy as a coach. I don't let my runners run with headphones, and she, even before I did, has started telling people, you're not running when you're running with our dogs. You're not running with headphones. It's not safe for you. It's not safe for the dog. You can't have people texting, you know, and not paying attention to what they're doing. We coach them, we teach them the process. And what we do is, since up to this point all of our training has been at APA, we're showing them those procedures, but now that we're operating at other shelters, those shelters will do shelter-specific additional training for them. Demonstrate the equipment, like I said. The bubble is one of the most important things. It is why we have not had any dog-on-dog violence. And it is as simple as keeping a 10-foot bubble, 10 to 12-foot bubble around you and your dog. No other dog gets in. APA teaches it to all their volunteers. I'm sure most of the shelters do. When we started sending people to the Austin Animal Center to just walk the dogs just in the yard area, they told us, make sure they talk to a volunteer. They'll show them where this stuff is and how to do this and that and how to break up dog fights. And we're like,
why are you having dog fights?
How does that happen? So the bubble, huge.
I'm sorry. Another really good thing that I learned when I was doing some dog training is so if I have a dog, is to keep my dog over here. So I've got my body between my dog and this dog over here. And so a really good thing to tell your volunteers is to be your dog's security blanket. Okay, make your dog feel secure that, hey man, I've got you and I'm not gonna let anything happen to you while you're with me. So that's part of the bubble too.
Temperature rules, then we go out to the yard, we break into smaller groups, we try to make them small enough groups so they're manageable, and we make every single person go through the kennel procedure, where the dog doesn't exit until you give them the free word, well, free. We teach them how to make them feel like they can deal with a dog that pulls, even though we know that, come on. How to deal with a loose dog, then everyone does kennel procedure. Let's see here. Just real quick, because I know she's got the signs up there. We are encouraging people. There's been a lot of groups like the ones in Tucson, Arizona that got on their own magazine cover, unlike us.
Where's our magazine cover?
I know.
We want a magazine
come
cover.
on.
Look how photogenic we are.
Rolling Stone, we're not asking for a lot.
Yeah.
If that terrorist guy can get on the cover of Rolling Stone, why can't we?
No, is Rolling Stone still around?
Yes. Anyway,
all right.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for my co-executive director. So a lot of places have done it, and we've helped them along, given them information and all that, and we encourage that. We really are liking that more people are wanting to do it as, call it Rufftail Runners, be part of a network, an organization, because it gives you familiarity. When you go try to sell it to your city council or your shelter people, you say, no, this is the program that is working in all these other places. We're going to adopt similar standards. We can pull from their experience. We can get in with some of their sponsors like Ruffwear, which has the best running leash out there. And we have the experience. We've seen every wacky thing and had our head scratching moments and talked it through with people. And so hopefully, well, we probably haven't seen everything, but hopefully we've seen a lot of stuff that you're going to come up against at some point. We can help you through it.
Success stories. Okay, so this is one of our volunteers, Mary. She's also one of our desk volunteers who helps check people out. We love her because Rob's in love with her. She's married, and so this was at the turkey trot. And another reason we love Mary is because she is a meteorologist here at one of the local news stations. So we kind of, hey, Mary, can you put somebody on this story? And and then she'll give us personalized weather forecasts, which is also great. So, and this is her and Bear. Bear's been adopted. This was at the turkey trot. So I don't know, do we have any other? Oh, yes, we do. My other boyfriend, Prefontaine. This was a picture of him at the expo in 12, I think.
I think so, yeah.
13 or 12.
At the Marathon Expo here in Austin.
Yeah, so we named him after one of the greatest runners ever, Prefontaine. He got adopted by one of our Rufftail Runners, and now he goes to CrossFit. He's like a CrossFit dog. He's like, yeah.
We can't control what happens to the dog after it leaves the shelter.
Right? So
Sorry.
He's always at CrossFit with his parents. And then Aiden and Rocco. Aiden was a really great Rufftail runner, and then he started running with Rocco, and then he was really the only person who was big enough to control Rocco. Rocco almost pulled me into the lake one day. But anyway, they're a happy couple now, and so those are some of our success stories. We have a couple more, I think, on our next slide.
It's great that every now and then I'll see someone come in with muddy, wet shoes and stuff, and they were letting their dog kind of get in the water, and they got pulled in a little bit, and they're always excited about it. I got pulled into the lake.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Great, you signed a waiver, it's okay.
So up here is Cheeto. Cheeto was actually, Cheeto met his family on one of his walks with our Rufftail. And so they were like, hey, that's such a great dog. And so that was taken one of the first really cold nights, it was 50. And so everyone was like, we gotta light the fire. So Cheeto has his own fireplace. And then Cindy, another dog I'm totally in love with. Some loser, obviously you can see, took her ears off. Didn't slow her down at all. She got adopted by a triathlete. If you know any triathletes, they're totally insane. But she's doing well. She helped her mom train. And then Chloe here got adopted, not by these guys, but these guys were Rufftail Runners. This was their first outing, and then they ended up adopting another dog at APA, who was also part of the Rufftail family. So yeah, these are some of our really fun success stories. And we have a lot more. We just didn't want to bore you with a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're going to open it up for questions. This is just a funny picture that we like to use because this is Pico peeing on the cat sign.
Hey, we mean no disrespect to Jackie Goodman. She was a great Austin citizen.